So you are unmuted and you got everything there. So I think we're good. All right, take it away.
All righty. So the talk today is called It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your secrets are? And a quick background about me. I'm Brian. I'm one of the founders and CEO of Doppler. And I'll share a little bit more in a bit about what Doppler is, but let's go into the talk first. So the main agenda for our talk is around understanding scaling environments and the problems that causes. And then basically how we can fix some of those problems with Doppler. And I'll actually show you live. So I'll be giving a live demo of Doppler. And then at the end, we can do some questions and answers. All right. So one of the main things that we're kind of seeing in the industry right now is that there are more applications and infrastructure than ever before. And that's creating a lot more secrets. If you can think about it this way, there's we've gone from like monoliths to microservices. So we have a lot more services. In each of those services, you're probably using, or internal services, you're probably using more external services like Stripe, Sneak, Datadog, and so on. So you have more API keys, more databases, more secrets to manage. And then teams are getting bigger and bigger and infrastructure is getting bigger and bigger, which means that these secrets need to be synced into all the right places, developers' laptops and development, CI/CD infrastructure and production infrastructure, and so on. So you have a lot more projects, you have a lot more secrets, and these secrets need to go in a lot more places now. And that kind of creates this problem, which we call secret sprawl. So as you can kind of see with this graphic, we have a bunch of different secrets in a bunch of different places. And the way it's kind of happening today is everyone has a file on their computer, like an env file for each project that has your secrets in it. And then you also have your secrets probably in GitHub for CI/CD, and you have your secrets in AWS or GCP or Heroku or Vercel, wherever it may be in production. And all these secrets are kind of like in their own silos. And so when changes need to happen, it's a very manual process. It's a very error-prone process. And it's just slow. It's tedious and can cause big outages. And you can also have big security problems with it too. Like if you're taking your secrets and then adding them over email or Slack, you're now exposing this highly sensitive data to tools that shouldn't have access to it. And you may put in an email and then some other person forwards that email 10 days later, and now that secret is out in the wild. So there's a lot of problems with secrets now that there's a lot more secrets out there and a lot more applications and infrastructure. And so we're kind of seeing this live, right? There's organizations 80% of organizations are really struggling with managing secrets. And there's a lot of dangerous outages and costly leaks that are coming from it as well. I'll give a real example. I'm not going to say the name of the company, but we're talking with one right now who had a malicious actor hack the company, get access to production secrets. And that caused a 72-hour outage. And that outage for every single minute of downtime was $50,000 in lost revenue, right? So that's like $215 million lost in revenue in 72 hours. Obviously, this is a much bigger company, but the problem still faced. Even when I was an individual developer before the days of Doppler, I was actually struggling with this. And I accidentally put my Stripe production key in staging. My staging went in prod. And it took me days to realize that we weren't doing any transactions, not because we didn't have any users, but because the wrong secrets are in the wrong place. So this can happen to anyone of all sizes. And so what's the best way to mitigate secret sprawl? And it's our belief that you should have one central place to put all your secrets. Just kind of like how you have one place to put all your money so you know where it is at all times. I think secrets should be very much the same thing. And so what that looks like in practice is you have a SecretOps platform like Doppler where you can put all your secrets. And you can get your secrets into Doppler in a variety of ways, from our dashboard, from our CLI, from our integrations like Terraform and such. And then you can push those secrets into all the relevant places that need it. So that could be your production infrastructure, your staging infrastructure, CI/CD, developers' laptops. You have a visual way of getting it on the dashboard as well. So now that you know where all your secrets are and you can provide access controls around them, you can also set up syncs so that you can get those secrets automatically into the right places at the right time. So the kind of going theme of how you solve secret sprawl is you put it all under one roof, and then you set up automations and access controls around it. So let's actually look at what that looks like in practice. So one of the big things here is you'll see that when you have tools like this, they're very developer friendly. So like Doppler was kind of built from the ground up to be extremely developer friendly and meet in all the developer workflows. That could be local development, where we can actually boot up your applications, like your Node apps or Python apps or whatever it may be, with those secrets injected in the environment. We can also push them into your infrastructure. For more advanced use cases, we can actually generate the secrets for you and then rotate them, which is a fancy way of saying revoke the old ones and issue new ones on a cadence, like every 30 days. And so if an API key ever does get out, like a sneak API key, it's not valid anymore because it's probably been more than 30 days. So overall, this is kind of what a solution looks like. And instead of showing some graphics with some nice text, I'm going to actually go into a live demo and show you what it looks like in practice. So we have Doppler right here. And the first thing you'll notice with Doppler is that we have the concept of projects. And companies that are building more monolithic structures will typically have 1 to 2 projects. Companies that are building more microservices will have a ton of projects. We have a fair amount of companies with hundreds of projects, tens of thousands of secrets, and fetching those secrets into their applications hundreds of millions of times every single month. So it can really scale to your needs. All right, so we're going to go into this payments project. And in there, you'll notice that we have environments like development, CI/CD, staging, and production. And it's kind of almost like a Kanban board of your secrets, right? You can see how your secrets are moving from development environments all the way to production and everything in between. And you can add as many environments as you like and reorder them to match whatever your pipeline is today. In each environment, we have what we call a root config. And this root config is like the main list of secrets for the entire environment. And each environment has one. And under it, we have branches. Branches are kind of like branches in Git. They branch off from the root and inherit updates. And they're particularly useful in 2 use cases. The first being development, where every engineer gets their own branch, where they can test their secrets in isolation. And then when they're ready, they can also inherit secrets from the environment as a whole when new secrets are being rolled out by other team members. And then branches are also particularly useful when you're going multi-cloud. So let's just say you're using AWS as your backend and Vercel as your front end for a nice fast front end. You can very easily do that in Doppler, where you can have those secrets pushed into the right places. So like AWS in the back end and Vercel in the front end. But maybe you have 2 secrets that are different, like your database URL and your S3 bucket, because they're different depending on what cloud you're on. You can very easily do that in Doppler, where you have those 2 secrets be different while the rest remain in sync with each other. So again, by putting it all under one roof, no matter where they're being deployed to afterwards, it gives you a lot of control over your secrets, just like how you have a lot of control over your code with GitHub. So I'm going to go into the root config for the dev environment. And we can see we have some secrets in here. We have a database URL. We actually have some feature flags in JSON. So you can, it's not just like single line strings. You can also store multi-line strings like JSON or YAML or anything that would be needed to configure the application at the environment level. We have some non-sensitive secrets like a port or logging configuration. We also have a private keys, and we can set up alerts to tell you to rotate it every 30 days or whatever you want whatever you want it to be. So you can set up these recurring reminders to do things with your secrets, and it'll alert the proper owners. And just like how you have comments with code, you now have comments with secrets with Doppler. So you can tell your other teammates how to do things like, let's just say you need to generate a new private key. You can put in, this is the command you do on your terminal to generate that new private key. So I'm going to add a secret, and I'm going to call it the sneak demo key. I'm going to give it a value of ABC, a pretty long secure secret, which is a joke because it's very short and insecure. And then I'm going to update it, and I'm going to change it from ABC to ABC123, so just a little bit longer. And now that I've done that, I'm going to go to the logs. And what you'll notice is just like how you have with GitLab, where you have red, green line diffs, you now have that with secrets as well. So again, we're really bridging the experience between what you'd expect with a platform like GitHub for code and what you'd expect from a platform with secrets. They kind of go hand in hand. And just like how you have versioning in GitHub and GitLab, you also have versioning with Doppler. So you can roll back changes at any time. Now, because I added it to the root, every engineer now got that update. So there's no more need to ping people on Slack or email and share these secrets. Just by the fact that you have your teammates on Doppler and they have their own branches means that they'll get their secrets. But you'll notice in all the other environments like CI/CD, staging, and production, we have alerts. And this is because we know that you added this secret in one environment, but it doesn't exist in all the others, and that can cause an outage. And this has been me in the butt plenty of times where before we had this feature where we added a secret in development, and maybe we forgot to put it in staging, and so production's up, staging's broken, and development's working. You're trying to figure out what's going on. Well, now Doppler kind of alerts you, and it'll also fill in the name of the secret for you. So you don't have to worry about accidentally adding an extra character, because secrets are not like paragraphs of text where if you have one extra space or period, it's not going to really break anything. With secrets, it's very different. If you're off by one character in the name or the value, you're going to have an outage. It's guaranteed. And so we'll fill in the name for you. And then with the value, you actually have something pretty special with Doppler where you can actually reference secrets. So just like how you have variables in code, you now have variables and secrets with Doppler. And so if I hit the $key, we can actually reference the secret that's in the development environment. So let me do that real quick. So when it changes in dev, it's now going to change in production. And I'm going to roll this out not just to production, but staging and CI/CD as well. And so when that happens, we're going to start seeing that a lot of our configs are going to go green. And it's going to show a status like 4 seconds ago and so on. And that's because we actually push these secrets directly into our infrastructure. So we have integrations with AWS, with Azure, with Fly.io, CircleCI, and GitHub for CI/CD, GCP Secrets Manager, and Vercel. We also have integrations with Kubernetes and Docker and Terraform, and local development. So we have a Doppler CLI as well, where you can fetch your secrets in development, and Doppler will basically boot up your application and inject those secrets in as environment variables. And so really, Doppler is that central source of truth for your secrets, and then we can push that to all the relevant places that need it. And one of the last things I'll show with this solution is access controls. And typically we see companies have no access controls around their secrets, which is a free-for-all. Everyone has access to everything. Or they have so many access controls, it's overbearing and you really can't get access to your secrets when you need them. And it leads to a very slow development experience. And Doppler tries to strike a balance with the concept of groups and users. And so you can set up groups like a backend team or a DevOps team, and then you can apply them to projects. So we have this backend group that has developer permissions on just a dev environment. And then the DevOps team has admin permissions across all the environments. And if you're a small company, this could just be that the CTO or the founder has access to all the environments, while the dev team has access to maybe just dev and CI/CD. It's kind of up to you to build it how you like. And then for people that are working at a little bit larger companies, you can connect this with your identity provider like Okta or OneLogin to basically push all these groups and users into Doppler. And what that basically means is you set it up once and it's fire and forget. Once these groups are in Doppler, every user or every engineer that you hire, let's just say in the backend team, will get access to the payments secrets for just a dev environment. And you don't have to worry about onboarding them manually, like sending them this env file or adding them to a whole bunch of tools. Just the fact that they got added to your identity provider means they'll get access to Doppler. And so this is what a SecretOps platform looks like in a nutshell, where you have access to all your secrets across all your projects in a structured way that's highly consistent across all your different teams, with access controls and a smooth developer experience built in. Kind of happy to pause here and answer any questions.
There's 2 questions so far. First question is, can you deploy secrets directly to a JavaScript front-end client? And if so, can you talk about that?
Yeah, so to a front-end client. There are a couple ways you can do this. So we have an API, and you can fetch those secrets from the API. I will note that if you're doing that, you want to make sure that the config that access token is connected to only has front-end secrets, so you're not exposing anything like highly sensitive. The other thing you can do, and we see this a lot with customers that are like on Vercel, for example, is during the build time with Vercel, we can inject those secrets in, and then you can add the like React prefix to note that for React that will make it available on the front end. So there are a number of ways you can do this.
I think we have a follow-up question from the same person.
Sure.
Are the environments customizable?
Yeah. So you can add as many environments as you like. So let's just say we wanted to add a new one. Let's go here, and we'll call this like the sandbox environment. So sandbox. We can see here we have a new environment, and I'll bring it all the way over here. And then you can add branches from there. So you can make it a dev Brian and branch config. So yeah, you can add as many environments as you want. It's completely customizable. You can even go as far as putting this in Terraform. So you can really stand up your Doppler projects and environments just like how you do all your other infrastructure.
Maybe going back to that first question too, one additional follow-up. How do you configure what things are getting deployed to a front end and what things are getting deployed to a back end? And this is just my own commentary, by the way. But like if you have a strike key, where you have like a secret key and the publishable key or whatever, how does that sort of work in this type of environment?
Yeah, so what you would do is you'd have two projects. So you'd have like a backend project and a front end project. And the front end project, you would create an access token that's available, and then you'd inject that in to your front end so that your front end can make those API calls to fetch those secrets. And then with the back end, typically we will just recommend connecting into an integration. So that could be pushing it into like Fly.io or Vercel and handle, or AWS, and handling it from there.
Cool. Okay. Second question. You have a question about the Heroku integration.
Sure.
If Heroku updates the environment variables because you, I guess, change an add-on or whatever, does that go into, like, is it bi-directional, I guess? I'm paraphrasing what they're asking.
Yeah, I get where it's going. It is not bi-directional. So we do something very special with add-ons where we'll ignore them. So now basically what would happen is when you first connect it, we'll say, hey, do you want to import your Heroku secrets into Doppler? Once that's set up, it's a one-way. Doppler is that central source of truth for secrets. But when add-ons do change, we will ignore those changes so that we don't break your application. And this has worked for like hundreds of Heroku customers.
And the final question we have so far is about Postgres. Is there an integration with Postgres? Like, I guess, can you also use this to manage the service credentials directly?
Yeah, I can talk about that. So this is actually a great question. So we have something that I didn't really touch on a lot, but it's called secrets rotation. And it gives you the ability to actually generate credentials through Doppler. And these can be database credentials, like for a MySQL and Postgres database. And it can also be for services like Twilio, SendGrid, and hopefully many others like Sneak in the future. And the idea is that you can basically rotate, Doppler can rotate your credentials for you on some cadence, like every 30 days. And also, if you ever have a data breach, you can just, like, in this case, I have a real MySQL database on AWS. And let's just say we found there was a malicious actor at Doppler. We could click the rotate button. And this is actually talking to a real live database right now and rotating those credentials for you. So if we go to the logs, we can see that here where we switch from user 2 to user 1 and we generate a new password. So yeah, we can rotate your Postgres database, your MySQL database, and the goal is in the future, rotate every secret that you have.
Cool. And this is just my question. What is the pricing like for this? So people watching online, if they want to play around with it, like, can they just play around? Like, what are the limitations?
Yeah, great question. So let me pull up pricing real quick because it's super friendly. It starts off with $0. It's free. You can use it for up to 5 users. And the reason why we picked this number is this is like at max, the largest project I had in when I was in college was 5 other students. So that was kind of the thinking behind it. Is you have 5 students at max, so you get 5 for free. We also have a GitHub education discount. So if any of you are students, you can basically use Doppler on the team plan for free through GitHub. So go to GitHub education, you'll find Doppler there. And then from the team plan is really for companies that really care about access controls. And so we typically see this as like a startup that maybe just brought on their like 5th or 6th engineer. And they're thinking, well, it's kind of scary for that engineer that we just hired to have access to production. Maybe I should lock it down. And that's where the team plan comes in. And that's $18 per user per month.
Cool. We have another user question that came in. They asked, AR asked, can I add dozens of AWS accounts with different secret managers and use Doppler as a central tool to securely store these secrets in a secrets manager?
Yes, absolutely. So let's look at what that looks like in practice. So when I set up an integration, so let's just say AWS Secrets Manager here, we can see we have this demo account, but we can also create a new connection. So you can create as many connections as you want. We'll give you this link that you can click that will take you to the generate tokens page on AWS. And you just you go through that flow, and then you paste back in these 2 credentials, and then you can name the account afterwards. So like, as you can see, this is demo account. So we have companies with tons and tons of connections, and then some of those connections are set up to different syncs. And you can go a step further if you're a really large org, and you can say, like the DevOps team has the ability to create new connections, and regular engineers or like backend or front-end engineers have the ability to create syncs on those connections, but can't actually control any of the access controls around it. So you can get pretty granular with permissioning as well.
Cool. And then another question coming through, what does it look like for the CLI, like for managing your local environment, I guess?
Yeah.
Just briefly show that or talk about
Sure. I'll give a live demo of that. I'll have to readjust the screen share. So let me see if I can do that real quick.
Oh, actually, sorry, maybe before you do that, the person that asked the previous question I misread one thing on there. They also said, can I look at Doppler as a mechanism to feed secrets and manage secrets to AWS Secrets Manager?
Yes, so that's exactly what our syncs do. You would change those secrets in
feed
Doppler.
it to it, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Hopefully I've answered your question, AR, by the way.
All right, so I'm going to open up my terminal. All right, see if I can do the screen share correctly. Stop screen, and then I will present again. I'll do the entire screen. All righty. So if I go to my terminal, so this is my terminal on my computer, and I have the Doppler CLI already installed. So the first thing I'm going to do is run the login command. I'm actually going to ignore this update real quick because run a demo. And I go and authenticate. It takes me to the browser. Now all I have to do is put in my demo my password. So this is kind of like sudo mode in GitHub. We can see that the terminal created this, or the CLI, sorry, created this parent code. So I'm going to copy and paste that in. And we can see it pulled up my machine's name, Brian's MacBook Pro. And I've authenticated in. Now, at no point in time did you see me copy and paste an API key into the CLI. Instead, we went through this flow right here. And the reason why we do that is because we believe developers should have a token scope to their user count and to their machine. So every device gets their own token. And the value of that is, let's just say you lose your laptop or it's stolen. You can revoke that individual machine. For any people that are running a security team, and someone leaves the organization, you can immediately wipe out all their access across all their devices. And again, now any action that I'm taking on the CLI will be scoped to my identity. As we can see here, it says that I created an auth token. Alrighty. So now that I'm logged in and we can see, welcome Brian, I'm going to go into this payments directory. And this is just like a Git directory that has some code in it. And I'm going to run a command called Doppler setup. And I'm going to select my project, so payments, and I'm going to select my config, dev Brian. Now, anytime I'm in this directory, 10 payments, I'll get the right secrets. So you can kind of think of this as like the Git CLI, where Git knows where you are and always fetches the right code from the right repo. Doppler does the exact same thing with secrets. So we can prove that out. We can do Doppler secrets. We can get a table of our secrets. If we go out one directory and run it again, we'll get an error because we haven't set up this directory for some secrets. And if we go back into the payments directory and run it, we'll get our secrets again. Now, you may be thinking, why is this valuable? Well, oftentimes when you're in a microservice world, you probably have multiple terminal tabs open with different projects in each. And so the fact that you're in the right directory for each terminal tab means you'll get the right secrets associated with that project. Now, you may be thinking, a table is nice for humans, but how do I actually get this into my applications? And that's where Doppler run comes in. So Doppler run can execute anything that's on your machine, Node, Python, Ruby, custom executable in a custom programming language. It really doesn't matter to the Doppler CLI. As long as your machine can boot it up, Doppler run can boot it up. So I'm going to boot up Node. We can see it booted up pretty quickly. But now we also have our secrets available in the environment. So if I do process.env and I type in our sneak demo key, we can see that we have it here. Now, what you didn't see going on was something that happened in the background, where we created an encrypted fallback file in a directory managed by Doppler, so it won't be tracked by Git. Again, it's encrypted. And the reason why we did this is because if you're ever on the plane or train and you need to develop offline, you can. The CLI will know that you're offline and smartly pick that up and start using that fallback file that's automatically created by Doppler. And then when you regain access to the internet, it will start using the live copy of secrets again and update that fallback file. So both an online and an offline, you have a very smooth local development experience.
Cool. Any other questions online for Brian? I'm going to give it a second here.
Sure.
There's a decent amount of people watching this live, so there's always a little delay in the video streams. Let me see what they say. By the way, this looks super interesting. Maybe another random question for me, but what are the values you can actually store in these variables? Because I noticed in that last example, you had like what looked like a JSON blob.
Yeah. You can pretty much put any type of string in there. So there are some like character limitations, which we note, or size limitations, sorry, that we note on our docs, but it's extremely generous. Like And we don't charge, by the way, for any secrets or reads or writes or anything like that. So we have customers that literally put tens of thousands of secrets in Doppler.
Does that always happen as a single transaction then? Or are you like, if you have that many, are you chunking it up, you know what I mean, in the request response cycle?
No, it's just one response. And a lot of times what's happening is there's a sync connected to it in production or CI/CD. And in that case, we're only shipping the delta. So if you change a single secret, that's what we're shipping over.
All right, you have another request. Can you go back to the integrations page?
Sure.
People want to see what all integrations you have.
Yeah, happy to. So we have these integrations here, and we also have these below.
Yeah, did you have a specific integration you're interested in? They're not responding right away. But.
Also, one other thing I'll show while we're waiting is we have a page on our docs that goes over all the integrations we have. So we have quite a number of them as well. And for ones that we don't have integrations, there are pretty comprehensive docs on how to still use Doppler natively in those platforms.
Cool. Well, Brian, thank you so much. That looks super interesting. If people want to get started, like give them the quick pitch. Where do they go? What should they do specifically to get going?
All right, super simple. Go to Doppler.com, click Start Free, and you can start for free. It's super simple. Most people we see get onboarded within the first 10 minutes. You can import your secrets very easily. We can import YAML files, env files, JSON, whatever you want. We can import it from Heroku, from Vercel, and so on. So it's very, very quick to get onboarded. And from there, then just invite your teammates and have a productive development experience.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Brian. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for today's presentation. Brian, thank you so much for coming by, man. Check out Doppler if you haven't used it already. By the way, I've actually happily used it myself for some experiments, so we'll happily personally vouch for that. Check out StepZen, check out Sneak, and thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next month. Take it easy, everyone.
Thank you.
Adios.